Hello everybody, welcome to the Centbee Show. I'm your host Lorien Gamaroff and my co-host is the Kage Ntshingila. How are you doing, Kage?
Good yourself, Ntshi?
I'm good, thank you very much. Pulling in with a bit of Centbee Show vibes, episode 28.
Straight up, man.
28?
Yeah, 28, man. Like, it's been a very awesome journey, I have to say.
It has been an awesome journey.
Yeah, and 28, man. We still have a long way to go.
Gee, we've got a long way to go. I was thinking, that's 52, right, to get to a year. I don't know if we'll pull that off. What is nice is we are growing in our subscribers, and we did say if we get 1,000 subs, then we'll release some funny footage of shooting the show and some stuff that happens here when we get things wrong.
The Centbee Show blooper.
Yeah, so if you want to see that, get your friends to sign up and subscribe to the Centbee Show. You know, we are here to try and explain all the things that people misunderstand about Bitcoin.
Yeah.
And we're trying to steer people away from crypto. You know, we are very anti-crypto. Often people say, you know, what do you do? Oh, well, we have a Bitcoin wallet.
Yeah.
Oh, well, then you must be into crypto, right?
No. No, we're not crypto.
We're out of crypto.
We're out of crypto, man.
We're trying to get people out of crypto. So, you know, there's just so much misinformation out there. People are trying to sell you this idea that you can make a lot of money and you can get rich quick. It's just not going to happen. Yes, some people have gotten rich off Bitcoin. They might have gotten early, or they've been riding these pumps and dumps. But you've got to admit, this isn't real.
It's not.
It's not like a valid way to spend your time trying to accumulate wealth.
It's not.
The most important way to do it is to develop skills and see opportunities in technology so that you can build businesses and serve people. And that's how you can build foundational wealth that can stand the test of time.
Definitely, because especially in this BSV ecosystem, like we need like ideas, fresh ideas.
Yes.
You know, we need people like just innovating, you know, applying themselves, you know, because like you're saying, it's about really getting your hands dirty, building. That's where true wealth is really built.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's not about getting lucky, getting in early, buying a couple cryptos and then selling to a greater fool later on down the line. You know, the information that we're giving you, we want you to use so that you can come up with ideas and then you can go and build a business, create a startup, build an app.
Yeah.
I mean, today with AI, generative AI with coding, I mean, you don't even have to be such a great coder.
Yeah. You just need to have a good idea.
Have a good idea, see what problems there are, and now you've got a fantastic tool. Blockchain is a wonderful tool, and you don't have to build a payment app. You can build an app that stores information reliably and securely, that can help with supply chains. You know, all the different things that we go on about in the show. Those are the things you should be looking at and thinking, right, how can I use that now to go and build a cool new startup, raise investment, and that's how you get truly rich. And of course, all the skills that you'll develop.
Definitely.
And if your idea doesn't work out, well, guess what? You've now got experience and skills, and you've learned what is good and what is bad and what is useful, what is not. And that can carry you forward into your next business.
Especially with this transition we're going through. I mean, AI has taken over. So it's quite important for people to, you know, clue themselves up, you know, with the right information. There's a lot of like information that throws people off, especially regarding crypto. So that's why we're here, you know, just to give like the solid word out there, the truth of actually people understanding which type of ideas they can explore and which type of technology which can help them succeed in that. One thing I want us to chat about is the social aspect of Centbee. I don't think a lot of people know that Centbee is sort of like a social wallet in a sense. You know, like we have a feature where you can send text.
Right.
Yeah.
The similar app to that, or something that people can probably identify with, is WeChat.
WeChat, yeah.
That's a mobile money wallet that's very used.
Quite global, in Asia,
In Asia, in China, most people use WeChat for everything, and
it's like a super app.
It's a super app for sure. People can chat, people can buy things. It's a whole social network.
That's cool, yeah.
And Centbee definitely has qualities like WeChat, although I started Centbee before I even was aware of WeChat.
Yeah.
But the idea is that it is a social network. And we have spoken on the show about Centbee being a social network where the media is money.
Yeah.
So we make a big deal about trying to connect people when it comes to transactions and money. And so we look at Centbee as a social network app. You can connect to your friends and you can chat. And the cool thing is within the chat, you can send money. So if I want to pay you some cash, maybe you bought me lunch or something, I can send you a chat message and send you cash. And it just makes that whole way of paying people a lot more social. Because when you do pay somebody, it's not just a payment out of the blue. There's always a conversation around it.
Definitely.
It's like, hey, Kage, I've got some money I owe you. Thanks for lunch. Here it is. You know, how much was it? And then I can just go and connect you with Centbee. You'll come up in my contacts list, tap on you, and send you the cash right there and then. At the cost of a Bitcoin SV transaction, which is less than 1/10 of a cent. And it just makes it so much easier when it comes to payments. If you think about payments in banks, you have to remember the account number and what kind of account, and is there a branch code? What's the name of the account holder? It's kind of complex when you're trying to make a traditional payment.
It is, and a lot of transactions are delayed because probably there's a typo or some information is missed.
Yes, exactly. So Centbee is a social networking app. That's why the logo is a chat bubble.
Straight up.
Because we want you to think of Centbee as not just a wallet.
Yeah.
It's your social networking app, something that is very much about activating your social life.
Yeah.
It's getting you out there. If you want to go and see your friends, you need to get an Uber. Use Centbee to pay for the Uber. If you want to get some food, buy a pizza with Centbee.
In fact, the conversation starts on Centbee.
Yes.
Like, yo, let's hook up. You send a text,
Yeah.
And then, yo, dude, I'm broke. I don't have any bucks. Just send me something.
It's like a little brother.
You send you something through the chat pay feature.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you got some bucks in your wallet.
Yes.
Immediately. You can grab an Uber or whatever voucher you want. And then your life is activated instantly.
Exactly. Yeah. So get Centbee, see what it's like to be activated with Centbee with digital cash. Yeah. If you don't use WeChat, if you live in a different country, in Africa, of course, people do use mobile money, and that's why we're focused on the African continent. We think that mobile money, everybody uses it, everyone's used to it.
On fire here.
And so we want to bring chat into it, and we want to really just level up mobile money on the continent and in the world. And of course, WeChat's a great example, something to follow.
Yeah.
So get Centbee, get social, get active.
Yeah, and the awesome part about us, Mr. G, is that we have BSV as the engine, so this is not just any ordinary mobile money app, faster transactions, you can shop around the world.
Yeah, it's global, you can peer-to-peer transactions globally.
Mr. G, like you can literally even send money to a bank account.
Yes, money transfer.
Exactly, so this is not just another mobile money wallet or app in the market, but it's more a mobile money wallet that people actually have been awaiting, because it activates their lifestyles in ways that haven't been possible before.
Totes. So get Centbee, get active. Mobile money on fire.
Mobile money on fire. Yo, remember to subscribe, get the app on the stores, man. Explore the power of BSV through Centbee. You know the drill by now. Cool. Short. Yeah, Ms. G, as we're stepping into our second segment, our previous episode, we spoke about bringing down the banks. Now we're talking about bringing down the government, because that's how I see, like, even if we track back, like early days, 2008, 9, that was the idea that people had around Bitcoin,
Well, the idea that they inserted into Bitcoin.
Yeah, and I just want to read a quote here by Warren Buffett here. He was saying, this is his thoughts on Bitcoin, basically. Bitcoin is probably rat poison squared.
Yes, rat poison squared.
That's deadly.
Yeah, that does sound deadly, yes. And the reason why I said that at that conference is that he's just listening to what the crypto guys are talking about.
Clearly.
About how crypto makes it now impossible for corrupt governments or in any government to be able to go and print money and then fight in wars and do all the evil things that governments do. Finally, we have a tool now, this crypto blockchain that is decentralized. We always got to use that word because it's the most overused word and misunderstood, misused word in crypto. Decentralized, so that means even if governments brought all their guns and their tanks and they try to find you, they're not going to find Bitcoin. They're not going to find crypto. So there's not a damn thing they can do about it. And that's really been the strongest message. Because when you go to these crypto conferences and you have people like Max Kaiser or Michael Saylor, a lot of people follow those guys. And Roger Ver, I mean, there's a talk that he gave years ago.
I got to stand up because I'm just so excited about Bitcoin. I can't talk about it while sitting down. So anybody here that's sick of the government inflating the money supply to pay to kill people all around the world, stop using their money. Use Bitcoin. The answer is here. We can put a stop to all of that. You don't have to support them in any way. Start using Bitcoin. There are so many websites that accept Bitcoin now. More and more coming online every day.
And it inspired a lot of people about how Bitcoin can make it impossible for governments to go and use your money or inflate currency to be able to spend it on things that are not virtuous and good for the people, wars and that sort of thing. Also, of course, it means that governments can't control capital in the country. They can't stop capital flight. If you want to sell your house and you want to send your money to offshore, out of Mongolia or wherever it is, there's nothing they can do about it. So that will destabilize the currency or destabilize the financial system. And so Warren Buffett just hears all this and he just thinks, of course, it's just not realistic. Because it's not just about removing corrupt governments. He then follows on from that and says, all right, well, if people can just skirt around these controls, well, then what's stopping criminals from skirting around these controls? So if Bitcoin became crypto, like what a lot of these cryptos are trying to do, people think, oh, it's going to be nice and friendly and fun and we all just get to live the lives we want to live. They are not thinking about people who now want to use it for their own ends and to be able to enable those criminal activities and things. And in fact, make the world a worse place. Because when it comes to criminal behavior, what stops criminals is if their funds are seized. Or if they can't make payments. If you can't fund a terrorist, how is he going to get the rockets he needs to shoot something up? So Warren Buffett looks at this as do a lot of sensible people, and they say, look, guys, if you guys are touting this idea that Bitcoin is there to bring down governments, especially law enforcement and government control, then this is rat poison. Because we're all going to end up eating it, and we're all going to die. And of course, crypto looks at Warren and they just, they always have that idea of an old man shouting at the clouds. That old man waves fist at clouds. Boomer. Okay, boomer. It just shows you how naive they are.
Actually, because in my head, I'm like, there's some wisdom there.
Yes, there is, of course. There's some wisdom to be learned from Warren Buffett.
Exactly.
So that's what he says. And of course, what he says there has been echoed by a lot of older people, wiser people who are more realistic and realize that there's no panacea in crypto. It's not going to make the world a better place. It might enrich a couple of us at the expense of everybody else, because that's how you make money in crypto.
Definitely.
You're not generating wealth. You're not creating new wealth.
Somebody's losing in order for one to win. That's
it. You're just accumulating wealth from your neighbors and from everybody around. You're the one who's now able to sell your coin to a greater fool, somebody who is willing to pay you even more. And where they're getting that money, well, that's from their house or from their kids' school fees. Imagine or something. That. So crypto is not generating wealth for one. And of course, if crypto has its way and is able to deliver on what it thinks is something that should be delivered, then the world's not going to be a better place. It's just going to be a place where wealth is redistributed to the insiders or the lucky few. the elite.
The 1%.
Yes, as always.
Yeah.
And it's also going to enable criminals to do whatever the heck they want.
Yeah.
So it's rat poison squared. We've talked about President Bukele. He's a crypto guy, and he says, no, this is about, changing the world, making the world a better place. And so he's trying to follow through with that. Unfortunately, he's got the wrong ideology, and he's betted on the wrong crypto, on BTC. Of course, that's not going to help his people in any way
at all. Yeah, especially with the halving now. I mean, I can imagine it's crazy now with the prices, the fees.
Exactly, the fees. And Lightning Network is nowhere in sight. I mean, it's there, but it looks like a sick puppy. Shame, it needs help. But this is the thing. Now, governments don't realize that this is all false.
Yeah.
This idea that there is this tool, crypto, out there that's unstoppable and uncensorable, it doesn't exist. This is just a hope.
But it's quite strange, Mr. G, man. Sorry to jump in there. But if we're talking government, we're talking, people who should be well informed in terms of such decisions.
Yeah, well, clearly, I mean, look, think about politicians. It's not that they generally are experts in things. They got to be politicians because they were popular and said the right things.
But you have, like in cabinet, there's a team of people that actually report to you. So even in that sense, it's not about you having to come with fresh ideas, but just allowing the sense that there could be an aspect that you are actually overlooking.
Yes, well, hey, I mean, that's just, again, the story of life when the experts are wrong. At least the experts that the government is listening to. But look, it's hard to be able to work this out. Even experts, and we see these experts on TV and they're talking about crypto and they believe in BTC, and these guys are not idiots, and yet they've totally missed the whole concept, because the information that they go and find, that information is from the people that are advocating for crypto. There's a very well-known guy who was very outspoken about Bitcoin and educated people on Bitcoin, and I think he's now still gives lectures or courses at the University of Nicosia in Greece. Andreas Antonopoulos.
Oh yeah.
He was a very popular advocate for Bitcoin, except he just kept on going down that path of permissionless, decentralized, unconfiscatable. He always, a lot of those words are his words when he was talking about how Bitcoin is unstoppable and it's just going to be this force that goes through the world and nothing can stop it in its path. Now, these experts in government are listening to him. They're reading his books. I mean, this guy's written textbooks on Bitcoin.
Yeah.
And they look at all these guys out there, these investors, and again, it's people who have made lots of money in traditional finance and now have latched onto crypto. And so experts around the world don't understand Bitcoin.
Yeah.
So when government goes to an expert, he's found the wrong kind of expert, somebody who thinks he knows what's going on, but doesn't.
Yeah.
Now, what the government looks at, and regulators and law enforcement look at, is the things that they're saying. And they are saying that this is unconfiscatable, it's anonymous and all that. So they are now getting at least they're not now getting it, but for years they've been very against this whole thing, clearly.
Yeah.
And so the beauty of Bitcoin is just not being understood and not being realized. And so that's why it has such a difficult path ahead. And I'm talking about real Bitcoin SV.
Yeah.
Because when people look at Bitcoin SV, they're not going to be able to know the difference.
Yeah.
Is this a regulated, compliant, low-cost digital cash system?
Sort of like tainted by default. Yeah.
Totally tainted. Bitcoin SV is tainted. So these experts, they're clueless.
Yeah.
They should watch this show.
Yeah.
Then they'll learn a couple things.
You should subscribe, yo.
And if they understood Bitcoin, they would be able to explain to the government that this is not a tool for bringing down the governments, but this is a tool that can enable governments to have better visibility on what's going on, better controls, and also to make their own internal processes, the things that they do, like internal revenue or something like that, make it more efficient.
Yeah.
But they don't hear that messaging.
Yeah.
They just hear about how this is something against them and not something that can
work for them.
Work for them,
Yeah.
exactly.
Geez, that's quite crazy because it's taking us like years back, man. I mean, at this point, we should be at least making some traction, like with bigger institutions, with governments. Even though like you have countries like El Salvador but we need it like at a larger scale of understanding, you know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, what we should do is go through some of the ways that Bitcoin SV, we'll call it BSV blockchain.
Yeah.
I think when we talk about Bitcoin, people always kind of get focused on the transactional, the money aspect, the cash aspect. But remember, Bitcoin SV is built on a blockchain.
Yeah.
As a transparent ledger, there are many different ways that government can leverage that blockchain to improve their processes.
Because I'm also thinking, I mean, one of the ways could be like travel documentation.
You mean identity documents? Yes.
Yeah, whether it's your passport or, you know, like just having one source of truth where we can access and we all know that this identity is verified and valid.
Right. I like what you said there, one source of truth.
Yeah.
And in fact, having a single ledger, that's what you now have. When you talk about a source of truth, you're saying, I've got some information and there it is, but I also have other information somewhere else.
Yeah.
So now I don't have a single place to find information. I've got multiple places.
Yeah.
Now what happens if that information conflicts? Maybe it contradicts information here. I don't have a single place where I can go and find just the information. I now have to go to multiple places.
And try to decipher it.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the idea of a blockchain is that we end up with a single source of information or truth.
Yeah.
And that means that, especially when it comes to financial transactions, if you think about Ponzi schemes, the business man will probably have multiple sets of books, one that he shows the auditors and the other one that he's got hidden away that has the actual status of the business. And so having a single source of truth, there already governments could benefit from that, because when it comes to, if we just talk about tax, for example, if you have a business and you now need to be audited so that you can figure out, you know, how much tax you owe and all that, then having multiple sets of books in a company makes that all difficult and complex, and fraud can happen.
Yeah.
But if there's one set of books, then it's very difficult to be able to hide anything.
To cook the books.
You can't cook a single ledger.
Yeah.
And so when it comes to auditing businesses, making sure that they are declaring everything that they should be declaring, having a public ledger, a single source of truth, makes it easy now for the tax authorities to be able to independently verify the information that you've delivered to them. Have auditors be able to see the full extent of your transactional history without having to rely on people inside the company to deliver the information to them. And of course, they might be withholding information, they could be changing that information along the way.
Cases,
But if an auditor can come in and look at your books independently and know that nothing can be fudged or faked, that gives regulators a lot of transparency and a lot of clarity on what's going on. So it's very hard to hide that information. So having a single source of truth already makes it a lot more difficult for people to commit fraud. And that can benefit a government to say, and I believe this is what's going to happen when they figure this out, is they're eventually going to say, all right, one of the legal requirements we have for you to be able to engage in whatever business activity it is, we require you to log some information, whatever it is, to the blockchain. And then we can then independently verify your information. Now remember, blockchain being transparent doesn't make it visible to everybody, at least understandably visible, public in a way where everybody can see what everybody's doing. It's that pseudonymous nature where you can see information, but you don't know who that information belongs to, unless, as an accountable institution, you've gone to whoever is auditing you and said, these are my Bitcoin addresses, this is the money that's been flowing between accounts, and I can explain all of this. What an auditor can do is they can say, hang on, I can see a little bit of money that's gone over to this place. What's going on there? And if there's no sufficient explanation, well, now the auditor has found something fishy and can require an explanation. So Bitcoin, far from being something that can hide.
It's traceable, basically.
Everything's there. It's visible. When government figures this out, I think they're going to say, you need to have blockchain involved in your business. We want to see this information logged, and in doing so, we can now make sure that you're behaving honestly.
I mean, Mr. G, with that being said, I'm also like failing to understand like why governments actually haven't like jumped on the BSV blockchain. I mean,
because they don't watch the Centbee Show.
Yeah, no, they don't, clearly, man. Because there's so many aspects where they can benefit. Because if they benefit, the people benefit in a sense. If we have like an honest, transparent source of information where anyone can access it, you know, then it means at least we have, you know, a clear and transparent government, which we can trust also as the people.
Yes. And you mentioned identity. That's another thing about blockchain that's very useful to governments.
Yeah.
Being able to have a digital ID.
Yeah.
Now, of course, a lot of people think, hang on, this is getting a little bit dystopian or draconian, where now governments can have IDs and whatever. But I mean, that's just silly. We all have a passport and we all have an ID. But those IDs can be faked and they're not easily verified. We have to verify the identities of our users.
Yeah.
And so often we get passports or ID documents that are very hard to discern. Are they real? Is this a fake ID? So having a blockchain ID where it's not that your personal information is stored on the blockchain for everyone to see.
Yeah.
It's not like they're going to go there and see your date of birth and anything like that.
It's like those old phone books where they had your address,
your
number.
Actually, the thought of that is so strange, man.
It's creepy, hey?
Yeah. I need to find where you live. Yeah. But the thing is, having now information that can be verified on the blockchain. So let's say you want to go into a nightclub or something, and they want to prove that you are 18.
Yeah.
Normally, what you do is you hand over your ID, and there's other information on there that you might not want to share.
And a lot of those are faked.
Yes, but having a blockchain ID means that if you can say, I am 18, here's my 18 verification on the blockchain, and they can check, yes, okay, this guy's 18. I don't know his name. I don't know anything else about him. I know, what I can know for sure is that he's 18.
Yeah, eligible,
Yes. Yeah. So for being able to verify aspects of your identity in a private way where you can give information to the relevant people and only what they need, so that you can do whatever it is that you need to do.
Yeah.
Having a blockchain identity just makes it so much more efficient, effective. It makes it difficult to be able to fake.
Yeah.
And you don't always have to be giving all your information over to anybody.
Yeah.
Like you say, opening up your phone book and now they know where you live.
Yeah.
You want to know how old I am? That's how old I am. And so this is why it's a wonderful tool for governments who want to make these digital ID systems possible, because of course it helps a lot of people, in all sorts of things, maybe property ownership and that sort of thing.
So Mr. G, so how do you see it actually benefiting the government regarding tax collections?
Yes, we mentioned about the transparency of the blockchain and how it makes it easier for auditing. But one of the cool things about Bitcoin, if you're a government, especially the tax, the Internal Revenue Service, if you're doing tax, is Bitcoin has a very cool property about it that when you want to make a payment to somebody, you can have multiple recipients for a payment. So if I want to pay 10 people, different amounts, so it doesn't have to be the same amount.
For different reasons.
Then what I can do is in a single transaction, I can create 3 or 4 recipients. So I can pay you, I can pay Aaron, I can pay somebody else, and that all happens in one single transaction.
And at a very low cost, basically.
And very low cost, exactly, don't forget that. But what's really cool about that, if you're a government, is that now it makes tax collection very easy. Normally what happens in transactions is if you go to a merchant, a shop, you go and buy something at the shop, then what happens is the merchant will take your money, and then at the end of the month, they have to now go and calculate how much tax they owe. And so they have to look at the VAT and how much was received. 15% goes to the government as tax, and then they go and do a payment or something like that. Now, that all happens after the transaction has occurred. And it can happen weeks later, and of course, it relies on honesty and all that sort of thing. But imagine now if instead of just paying the merchant, let's say you're $10 for whatever the thing is that you want, you can then pay 15% directly in the same transaction to the taxman. Immediately. So now what happens is I've got a transaction for the thing I'm buying, money's gone to the merchant and money's gone to the tax man.
That's crazy, because now that's like completely opposite of how the current system works.
Yes. So after the fact, normally what you have to do nowadays is you go and do you tally up how much tax you owe, you make a payment to the government.
Yeah.
And so this way, it just makes it so much easier to be able to collect tax, because in one single transaction that's on the blockchain, and the merchant can say, when needing to declare this, look, here are all my transactions, here's all the money I earned, this is my income, and here are these transaction IDs, government, there they are, these are, and they can go and look at that on the blockchain, and they can go and see all the outputs, in other words, where they were paid, and they can tally it all up, and they can see, wow, we've just received exactly the amount of tax that we need. So Bitcoin makes it easier for governments to collect tax.
They don't know that.
They don't know that. If they knew that, they would be going around to merchants and saying, right, we've got a new rule. Guess what? Every time you receive payment, we want to receive our cut. Now, we're not arguing whether or not government's taxing you is a good thing, but this is a reality for governments. They can now really make tax collection way more efficient.
Super efficient, because that not only speaks about taxes alone, but transactions. That means transactions will be settled quicker, money will move faster.
Exactly.
Projects will move quicker.
Right.
We'll be in a more sort of like an efficient ecosystem.
Definitely. Bringing down the costs, making it transparent, and making it instant, as you say. And that's what's cool about Bitcoin SV as well.
Because it's not about the saddle, like we have to wait 30 days to... settle, or 7 days or whatever.
Yes, like with a credit card transaction, you have to wait 60 days and that money might not come to you because the person might say, that wasn't my credit card.
Yeah, because people, they actually do that.
Yeah,
like
of course.
They call the bank, like, no, I didn't actually authorize this transaction.
I've done that. Sometimes I've seen money gone off of my card, phone the bank, that's not my transaction, and I get it back. Merchant, out of pocket. So, at least... insurance is paid, and that's why the fees on those cards are so expensive. So having Bitcoin as cash, you're receiving the cash, 15%, whatever it is, goes straight to the government as tax. You're done. You don't have to worry about now.
No more accounting.
There'll still be accounting, but you're at least not going to have to worry about payments out to the government. They settle, they're done. And they've received it, as you say, instantly.
Because the admin is crazy, I can imagine.
Yeah. So this is another great feature for governments. Get involved in the tax system. It can really benefit government.
Definitely. I mean, that's one aspect, but there's quite a lot. I'm also thinking about like voting, for instance.
Right, voting as well. I mean, at the moment we have to sort of trust the here we have the independent electoral
committee.
Yes, and they have to make sure the votes are counted up correctly, that there's no spoiled votes. In America, they had all that mail-in voting, and there was a dispute. Was it accurate? Is there fraud taking place? How do you know? Exactly. A little scribble on a piece of paper. Is this a real vote?
Was it one person who actually? Or is just a bunch of like fake ballots that one person marked?
Yes, exactly. Now having a blockchain-based system, you could probably implement it so it makes it possible that one person can vote. And that vote can be stored on the immutable blockchain. It cannot be edited. And it just makes it so much easier in real time to be able to tally up votes. So there again, how to make your elections more fair. And that's what governments want to do. They want to show the world and show their people that that voting can't be corrupted, and there can't be fraud. What government is going to say, at least what people in any government is going to say, we don't want more accountability, we don't want more visibility. They do. And so how do you make your elections more transparent and less corrupt? Blockchain, yeah. What a great utility.
And that's the crazy part, because that means anyone can access it and see the actual results on the blockchain.
In real time.
Yeah. That's crazy.
Yeah.
So, okay, we've spoken of taxes, we've spoken of identity.
Yeah.
I'm also thinking like real estate, Mr. G. Like property.
Yes. Thanks for that one as well, because we often talk about tokenizing. Things. And tokenizing just means creating a little certificate, really a digital certificate. So if you think about how you own things, if you own a car or if you own a house, you've got a title deed, and that title deed is a legal document saying that you own this thing, this property or this car, and obviously that's also just a piece of paper stuck somewhere and maybe on an Excel spreadsheet in some government database somewhere. What's stopping that from being manipulated?
Definitely, yeah.
I think this is a problem. I think in Zimbabwe they have a problem with this as well. How do we know that this person owns this land and it's not, and now this guy says, I own this land, but now it's been taken over by some corrupt politician, because they can just go and edit those records at the deeds office. So tokenizing real world assets, giving it a digital certificate that cannot be edited and cannot be manipulated. And you can then show that this information, this property, this item belongs to this person. And then, of course, transferring that asset is fairly simple, because it's just a digital token on a blockchain. Send it to somebody else. Now you've been able to transfer that very efficiently. That's why shares were dematerialized. Once upon a time, we had paper certificates at a securities depository to show who owned what shares. We digitized that, what's called dematerialized that. And so these securities depositories now have digital records, but it's still a database that's on a server somewhere that could be manipulated by
easily so,
IT guys, admin, who knows. So storing the certificates of ownership on a blockchain in terms of property ownership or something gives you a great way to verify this information is true, it's accurate, it's a single source of truth, it cannot be manipulated. And so now we've got a wonderful way to verify ownership and to prove the integrity of this information. So we have touched on other kinds of personal information. We talked about identity, but I think in a show once we discussed health records as well.
Mr. G, because it's quite important, especially if we're talking about a global ecosystem. I mean, health records play a part also in that, because if I'm traveling, maybe I'm in New York, and I happen to collapse, and a medical practitioner manages to attend to me, at least maybe if I have a tag or something with a QR code that they can scan and have a full record of, maybe a condition that I'm suffering from, and they can attend to me correctly,
don't administer these drugs, this is how many of these things have been taken in the last 2 weeks, exactly. So you see, there's just again, and that, I mean, of course government is involved in health, and they want to make sure that the health system is running effectively and that's not being abused. So there again is that example of having a single source of truth that government can leverage to make their own internal processes and their public services more efficient. There was another one I wanted to touch on, which was grants and that sort of thing.
Yes, because that's quite big in every government.
So in a welfare system, how do you make sure that benefits are being paid to the correct people? Maybe the person's dead and somebody else is claiming those benefits.
Because we've had stories where certain government officials were literally getting paid for non-existing profiles.
Right.
That's that's literally what's happening in most governments.
Yes.
You find it's just ghost identities there, and they are just cashing in.
Yeah, if the government said, right, everybody has to have a Centbee wallet, and then we will be able to identify you because users in Centbee are identified. And now if they want to pay out those grants or those benefits, they can just go and do in a single transaction.
1 click, Mr. G.
Theoretically, I mean, I think I don't know how many millions of outputs you can have, probably not that many, but at least you can then very effectively and very efficiently, in an immutable way, in a transparent way, pay benefits out to your citizens.
And that's the nice part, because even if there's a mistake that took place, even at that point in time, we can track back and figure out where the issue was.
Exactly. Where did all this money go? Are these people, can they be verified as real people? And because of that pseudonymous nature of Bitcoin, yes, we can see that every single recipient who received this money from this account or this wallet. And we now can see, yes, every one of those people, they've all been identified. We can verify their ages and their death certificates, because you can put death certificates on a blockchain. That's another use case.
Definitely,
And now it makes disbursement of benefits so much easier. So, I mean, we can just go on about just about every service, it seems,
Definitely.
that involves transactions or data in the public sphere, in government.
But it just shows you, Mr. G, like how much like Bitcoin SV is really built for the real world. Because like we were saying in previous episodes, that every aspect was put into thought.
Right.
You know, like it wasn't just...
Satoshi was very careful and
very
thoughtful.
Because he looked at the real world, what's happening in the real world, how the real world functions, how transactions work, how the government functions. So definitely this was something that was thought regarding all of those. So definitely, for me, I look at it as the ultimate solution that each and every government needs.
Yes.
Right.
So, you know, if this message can get out there and the real understanding around Bitcoin could be spread, then if people out there could understand what Satoshi had in mind and what he created, because we don't really have to look at him anymore in terms of, you know, how to understand Bitcoin. We can look at Bitcoin and we can see his design, and we can see how it just perfectly fits into the world, not as a tool to disrupt the status quo, but to improve the status quo, to eliminate fraud, to make things more transparent, more efficient, bring the cost of things down, stop illicit financing to terrorist organizations or money launderers. I mean, just about everything that is wrong with the world, it seems, you know, maybe not everything, but it's not going to cure cancer yet, right? It can make things better, cheaper, faster, more secure, more safe. And so if you just look at Bitcoin, how it was created, you can see the mind of Satoshi. You can see he was not an anarchist. He didn't want to bring down banks. He didn't want to bring down governments. He wanted to make the system better. He wanted to improve the problems in those systems. It's far from bringing down the government, he wants to fix government.
Definitely. And it was about building a system that's more cohesive, you know, that interlinks, because we're speaking data, transactions. Information is always moving, so we needed sort of like a pipeline that's super efficient in that, and BSV is that.
Yes, Bitcoin SV, Satoshi's vision was a world that could eliminate badness, eliminate fraud, eliminate corruption, and can help so many people in the terms of the cost of transactions especially. And that's why we are so excited about Centbee and Bitcoin SV, because that was Satoshi's vision. How do we make it possible for the man in the street, for the teenager in the street, because we think Centbee works great for young people. How can we make their lives better? If they're going to be paying $50, $60 per transaction like they're doing with BTC right now, how is that making anybody's life better?
That's not realistic.
Yeah, but if you're being able to pay your friend or pay your parent across the world and it costs you less than a cent to send that money, wow. What an impact.
That sounds unrealistic, but it's real with BSV, Mr. G.
It's real. And governments look at that and they say, wow, this is amazing. And remember, governments are trying to solve these problems. They're trying to find ways and encourage entrepreneurs to find ways to reduce the cost of transactions and to make those transactions safer and more secure. I have high hopes for government that I believe the people largely within government are trying to make the world a better place. Of course, there's a couple corrupt ones out there that, you know, but Bitcoin can fix those ones. So Bitcoin is a tool that governments can use to bring clarity and honesty to the system, because it makes fraud impossible and it makes corruption impossible, because now they have a tool that they can require businesses to use, and that means now there's not going to be any fraud within those businesses. And of course, as we've always say, that, you know, the cost of those transactions can improve the lives of millions of people around the world. So there's nothing stopping you, governments. Check out Bitcoin SV and you're going to see a whole lot of tools there that can really improve government on a scale that we still don't even realize yet.
Straight up. So yeah, Mr. G, I mean, like, officials need to actually check out the Centbee Show, subscribe, you know. So if you know anyone in government who's not clued up about the Bitcoin SV space, just link them up to the Centbee Show, guys. Come on now. If they're not knowing what's happening, just link them up, subscribe, you know, check out the app on the stores, Mobile Money on Fire. Yo, Ms. G, I mean, we're talking about the government having like clear view of transactions
and corporations,
data and stuff. But now we need to look at it also in their aspect of saying the honesty has to be both sides.
Oh yes, yes, exactly. What's sauce for the goose is sauce for the gander.
Exactly.
So in the same way that Bitcoin can make transactions from people and corporations more transparent, it can eliminate fraud. The reverse is true. I mean, government spends money. They collect taxes and then they go and spend money. And the reason why a lot of people in crypto and just generally around the world are generally grumpy with their governments is because that whole process of what they do with the money is very opaque. And so this is the thing about government is that we feel and we know that there's corruption at high levels. And so how do we keep track of what they are doing? And so in the same way governments can have visibility on what's happening with the people, people can now have visibility on what's happening with government, because their transactions can also be on the public blockchain in a private way. But at least when it comes to accountability and auditing the government, being able to make sure that payments are not going to their friends and their family and not being embezzled, by enforcing governments to leverage Bitcoin as well can now give the people confidence that government is behaving.
We have an honest government in place.
Exactly. They are now going to be held accountable. And what they do is going to become public and transparent. And you can imagine what that can do to a country where they have confidence in their government, that the government isn't being able to divert funds in a way that they're not happy with.
That's crazy, because I can look at it also from budget allocations, like where also the public has a full view of the budget that's
and tendering.
Exactly. Like this project is going to cost this much and it already has been paid out, and we can easily keep track of all the purchases that are involved in the project. That's pretty cool.
Bitcoin shines a light on everything. And it shines a light on government as well. This is the beauty of it. It's not just a tool where now they will have all this insight and visibility into our lives so they can control us. But the reverse is also true, that we will have insight into their lives and what's going on in government. And it'll be so hard for them to be able to hide money and do all the things that we're worried about what they do with our money. So Bitcoin is something that it's going to improve life on so many levels once we get over this crypto disease, where it's really just about how can I make money and not care about the rest of the world.
It is actually a disease, Mr. G, because it's hella contagious how it just spreads out, like to even people that are not even aware that they are being lied to, like they just easily just catch it. You switch on the news, you're already in it. Because the first thing you see is prices, speculation, this, that, nothing to do with utility. Because what we just said now is the truth, is information that people really need to know and understand out there, because for the fact that the government and the people are not engaging in this BSV space, it's literally taking us years back.
Totes, 100%.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Mr. G. I mean, that was insightful once again, I'm saying officials should actually be checking out the Centbee app, like all around the world. They should be checking out the Centbee app. They should be checking out the Centbee Show just to get clued up on which is the real BSV. And guys, just remember to download the app on the stores. Remember to subscribe, show some love. Mobile money on fire. You know the drill by now. Ms. G, we're going to be stepping into this week's user questions and feedback from socials. And our first one comes from, welcome back, user. So they are saying, I agree 100% with every word. Great informative intel. I'm sure they're speaking about our previous show.
Cool. That was bringing down the banks. This is bringing down the governments, and we pretty much cover the same sort of thing in terms of how it's a complete misunderstanding that Bitcoin was there to bring down banks.
Straight up. So guys, remember to check out the app on the stores once again. Just explore the power of BSV. Shot. Our second one comes from Living 810. They say keep growing, guys. 100%. Cool emoji, fire emoji. So mobile money on fire, yo. Our third one comes from Juja. Jujaji is coming. Okay.
Dujaji.
Yeah. Okay, let me start that over. Yeah, our third one comes from Dujaji is coming for you. He's saying, thanks, guys. New subscriber. BSV needs to grow.
Yeah. Keep subscribing. Thanks. We're almost on our way to 1,000, and we're gonna celebrate that. So thanks very much.
Definitely, guys. So yeah, guys, remember to check out the app on the stores. Explore the power of BSV. I mean, if you don't have Centbee by now, you're definitely living under a rock, yo. So step out, download the app, subscribe, show some love, yeah? Mobile money on fire. Mr. G, I think we've come to the end of our show.
Great stuff. Thanks, Kage. Thanks for giving us a chance to discuss this. We're going to keep on doing this. We're going to keep on bringing you guys the real deal on what Bitcoin is and what Satoshi Nakamoto wanted out of Bitcoin.
Yeah.
You're not going to learn about technical trading analysis and which cryptos are going to be bought. In the words of Michael Saylor, I think I'll quote him.
There is no second best. There's no second best crypto asset.
There's no such thing, yeah.
Bitcoin SV, Satoshi's Bitcoin, Satoshi Nakamoto Bitcoin, which is BSV on exchanges.
Yeah.
It's not crypto. It's not about investing. It's about changing the world. It's about enabling us as citizens, and it's about enabling governments to be able to do a better job. And far from bringing down the system, Bitcoin is there to bolster the system, to grow the system,
Sure.
the system of us as individuals, people, being able to send money to one another very cheaply, to be able to buy the things that we need, to be able to earn money from around the world if we're doing remote work. That's what Satoshi's vision was, about transparency, about eliminating fraud, about eliminating the badness in the world at all levels.
Yeah.
And so we hope that by watching this show, you'll be able to learn that and be able to be empowered to really understand the power of Bitcoin and to forget about crypto so that you can build a business or you can really grow true wealth, which is long-term wealth. And I think that is it.
That's it, Mr.
I think we're done. So cool. All right. Well, thanks everybody for joining the Centbee Show. Please come back soon.